This is Word and the Wild. It's the one-year Bible adventure with friends. My name is Owen. I'm your host and your guide. Delighted to be together with you on this 12-month journey as a podcast plus community where we read the Bible for ourselves, but not by ourselves. Gang, it's week 29. This week, we wrap up Psalms. We turn back to the story through Isaiah and Micah. We discover God has a plan. It's different than ours, and His plan is the one that will happen. So, hello and welcome in. A special welcome to our Word and the Wild Plus community members. It's their support of this nonprofit endeavor that makes space for all of us here on this Bible reading adventure. So many, many thanks. As part of our Word and the Wild Plus tribe, they enjoy access to our private, safe online space where no honest question is a dumb question, along with a weekly live stream Q&A, bonus content, interactions, live stream teaching gatherings with yours truly, and even occasional meetups if you're local. If you've got a craving to dive into the Bible in a way that lets you understand it and what it's all about, now is a great time to jump in. We're going to be hitting the New Testament soon, so jump in now, get a running start at it. Check the show notes for how to become a member of the Word and the Wild Plus community for yourself. You can get all those details over at wordandthewild.com. That's wordandthewild.com. Check it out there, or again, check the show notes. Now, buckle up as we look ahead to what Isaiah and Micah have to show us about the end of the road and how we get there from here. Well, yes, God has a plan. That's been a theme of our story since the very beginning. God does have a plan. He walks a path, and His plan and His path is different than ours in many ways. And whether we like it or not, His plan is the one that is going to happen. As we look into the future this week, get ready for some plot twists. Don't get discouraged. Get on board. That's what we see play out with Isaiah and Micah, two prophets we are rolling with all this week. We're going to see this week that longtime enemies, people who have been villains in this story, and by people I mean people groups, those people are going to wind up being loved and rescued by God. Crazy plot twist. Then we're going to see some invincible foes who are predicted to just snap like twigs. And we're going to see unthinkable events that will move us closer to an unspeakable joy. Yeah, so if you can't tell already, let me just tell you, we're in for a wild ride this week. It's a wild ride, but in some ways it's a simple one. And what I mean by that is it's not going to be hard to understand as long as you have this perspective, okay? The perspective is simply this. We don't know every detail of where all this ride we are on through history, where it's going to take us. We don't know every detail of where it's going to take us, but what we do know is what waits for us at the end of the road. And that's true for the whole sweeping story of the Bible that we've been following now for 29 weeks. And it's true for our own story, both as individuals and as a human race. We don't know all the details, but we do know what waits for us at the end of the road. And you know, it's rare to be able to create a work of art. I mean, any kind of work of art. I'm talking about a song, a sculpture, a painting, I mean, a film, a book. I mean, you name it. Any kind of created work of art. It is so rare to create something like that that's relevant to every person, everyone. I mean, it almost never happens, but we're about to encounter two of those kind of rare creations this week as we walk through some of the works of Isaiah and Micah and what they have to say as the Lord gives them and guides them through the words to deliver. They speak not only to the people of their day, they speak to us today as well. And it's not simply because they are interesting or inspiring, although there are some incredible turns of phrase, and we're gonna have great enjoyment ahead of us as we kind of walk through them. But it's not just that they're interesting or inspiring. It's that they speak to a question we would all like to explore. There's not a person that I've ever met, and I mean this seriously, who's never had curiosity about this question. And the question is, how does human history play out? And then what do we do with that information? Is there anything we can know about how this all is going to end? And what do we do with the information? Now imagine being Isaiah and Micah, or imagine writing something back in 700 BC that stays fresh and compelling through the whole sweep of human history. That's what's happened, and that's what we are encountering this week. And it all stays so fresh and compelling because it wrestles with and illuminates, in some ways, this question: how does human history play out? In fact, it's so clear and so compelling that not much needs to be said about it. We just need to listen to it. And so, listen. I'm going to read you this stretch from Isaiah, and just drink it in and see where it takes us. All right. Isaiah starts with this: search the book of the Lord and see what he will do. Not one of these birds and animals will be missing, and none will lack a mate, for the Lord has promised this. His Spirit will make it all come true. He has surveyed and divided the land and deeded it over to those creatures. They will possess it forever, from generation to generation. Okay, pause there for a second. Do you see this? This is, we're going back to God's care and love for creation. Even birds and animals. The future includes God caring for restoring creation. Okay? Now let's keep going. Even the wilderness and the desert will be glad in those days. The wasteland will rejoice and bloom with spring crocuses. Yes, there will be an abundance of flowers and singing and joy. And the deserts will become as green as the mountains of Lebanon, as lovely as Mount Carmel or the plains of Sharon. There the Lord will display his glory, the splendor of our God. With this news, strengthen those who have tired hands and encourage those who have weak knees. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong and do not fear, for your God is coming to destroy your enemies. He is coming to save you. And when he comes, he will open the eyes of the blind and unplug the ears of the deaf. The lame will leap like a deer, and those who cannot speak will sing for joy. Springs will gush forth in the wilderness, and streams will water the wasteland. The parched ground will become a pool, and springs of water will satisfy the thirsty land. Marsh grass and reeds and rushes will flourish where desert jackals once lived. You catch the picture once again? It's this returning back to the beauty of the Garden of Eden, and these places that have become desert wastelands, dry and thirsty, thanks to the fallout of Adam and Eve's fateful choice to eat the fruit and all that's happened since then. It feels so long ago, even in our story, doesn't it? It feels so long ago. But there's a return coming to it, and places that were deserted will be blooming, and people who have been broken will be healed. All right? And Isaiah goes on. Get this picture. Listen, he says, and a great road will go through that once deserted land. It will be named the Highway of Holiness. Evil-minded people will never travel on it. It will only be for those who walk in God's ways. Fools will never walk there. Lions will not lurk along its course, nor any ferocious beasts. There will be no other dangers. Only the redeemed will walk on it. Those who have been ransomed by the Lord will return. They will enter Jerusalem singing, crowned with everlasting joy. Sorrow and mourning will disappear, and they will be filled with joy and gladness. Those verses come from Isaiah 34 and 35. Right? All that has disrespected, disrupted, and disfigured God's beloved creation will be erased. The sin and the sorrow that Adam and Eve let in through their fateful choice back in Eden will be erased. The intruders will be dealt with. The earth will be restored. The earth will be returned to the ones for whom God made it, his beloved creation, with human beings at the pinnacle of it all. God will do something beautiful with this desert. At the end of history's winding journey, the road opens up. The crooked curves, the potholes, the frustrations, and the predators will all be gone. We will hit the final plateau after the long climb, and there will be no more desert. And then our final destination will come into view. It will be like the Garden of Eden, but better. See, Eden included the possibility of a choice to turn away from a loving relationship with God that we've come to see is so essential for happiness and literally for survival. See, there was a tree in the middle of that garden. God put the tree there, and with that tree there was a choice. You know what tree I'm talking about. But here at the conclusion of our story, here at the end of the road, there won't be a garden with a tree that requires a choice in the middle of it. No, there's going to be a city with a throne in the middle of it. And there's a king on that throne. And there will be no challenge to his power. There will be no doubt about his goodness. And there will be no end to the joy of the citizens of that city. All the people God has redeemed. That is what lies ahead for us at the end of the road. And so as you explore this week, as you walk the journey this week, look through Isaiah, look through Micah, look for the intriguing clues we find along the way that describe what awaits for us there at the end of this road. Who will be there? What will it be like? There's some tantalizing little tidbits along the way for us this week. And make no mistake, as you watch it all unfold, there is only one way that this incredible future comes about, and it's the arrival of that king. Isaiah is very clear about this. For example, he says in Isaiah 33, he says, though the Lord is very great and lives in heaven, he will make Jerusalem his home of justice and righteousness. In that day, he will be your sure foundation, providing a rich store of salvation, wisdom, and knowledge. And the fear of the Lord will be your treasure. Again, that's Isaiah 33, 5 and 6. Isaiah and his people, they wait for that day, that moment. And I love that it's a day. There's a pivotal moment in time that we look forward to. That day when the Lord makes Jerusalem his home. And the stability and sanity that will come with it, man, they wait for it. And that day is coming. beautiful, beautiful day. But in the meantime, Isaiah and his people, well, that's where they live. They live in the meantime, the in-between time. And God gives them a look at what's ahead at the end of this road. But man, there are some long miles to walk between now and then. And that's true for us too, right? I mean, we also are in the meantime, and it is a mean time. It's hard living in this cruel world. And so when we see flashes of fury and anger coming from the Lord through Isaiah and his fellow prophet Micah this week, where we see predictions and warnings about what it will take to move history forward from the current state of affairs, both where they are in their time and place there, 700 BC, dealing with the Assyrians and the ones who are coming after and handling their troublesome neighbors. Well, they're going to see what it's going to take to move forward in God's plan, and we're going to see some of that too, because some of the things Isaiah and Micah talk about have yet to occur. They are future for us as well, and we're going to see that, man, there is some demolition work to be done and some dirt work to be done in preparation for that highway of holiness that Isaiah talks about. And what's the point of all this? That's the real question, right? Why spend so much time to paint the future in these vivid colors and the path that it's going to take us to get there? Well, why? The simple answer is they need to hear it. Isaiah and the people need to hear it. Micah and the people need to hear it, and we need to hear it too. We need the encouragement. We get tired, don't we? We get tired. We look around at how bad things seem, and our knees buckle. Our anxious hearts pound in our chest. And we need to hear the story, the whole story, including the end. We need to hear the whole story again and again. That's what Isaiah said. Do you remember that? He said, with this news, what news? The news of the future arrival of God. Amen. Strengthen those who have tired hands, he said. Encourage those who have weak knees. Say to those with fearful hearts, be strong and do not fear. For your God is coming to destroy your enemies. He's coming to save you. There is an arrival ahead. There is a rescue. We need the encouragement, yes, and we need that cautionary reminder. The reminder simply to make sure you are a friend and a loyal subject of this coming king. Let's make sure that the God who is coming to bring salvation to his people and destruction to their enemies is truly your God and truly mine. And how do you do that? Well, Micah, the other prophet we're going to hear from this week, is so glad you asked. He has a response. It is deceptively simple. It is comprehensive. And he simply says in Micah chapter 6, verse 8, we're going to encounter it this week. He says, the Lord has told you what is good, and this is what he requires of you, to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. How do we respond to the future that awaits us? Walk with God. Love him and love who he loves. God's going somewhere. He's on the move. He's carving a path from the broken now to the beautiful city and the joyful future. And we are going to want to be there with him. So do what's right, love mercy, and walk humbly with him. And there we go, my friend. Let's saddle up and ride. We have an adventure ahead of us this week. I'd love to know, how is this 1 year Bible adventure going for you so far? Let me know. Let me hear from you. If you're not already part of the Word and the Wild Facebook group, search for it, join it, and say hello, or look for us on Insta. You can find us at thewild.us. And while you're at it, be sure you've subscribed to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, all the places. Word and the Wild. It's a 1-year Bible adventure with friends. I'm loving this, hoping you are as well. All you Word in the Wild Plus community members, man, thanks again for making this journey a reality and a possibility. Thanks for keeping me company. I hope I'm keeping you company too. I'll be seeing you out there in the wild this week. That's our private online community space. Everybody else, hey, don't be a stranger. Once again, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, and let's interact there. Word and the Wild is a Linehouse community. It's part of the Linehouse Community Network. It's a nonprofit organization with a mission to bring neighbors together to promote awareness, appreciation, and understanding of the Bible, because friendship and God's Word change lives and change cities. Word and the Wild is presented by the Lumavaz Podcast Network. Grateful for their friendship and hospitality. And with that, we are out. I'm Owen, your host and your guide. And until next time, my friend, I'll look for you out there on the trail in the Word and the Wild. You have a great week.